Everybody in the UK right now is talking about tax. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, her budget for autumn is coming under a lot of scrutiny. The things that are being reported to be implemented as part of this budget is going down like a cup of cold sick, as it usually does. Any kind of tax rise is never going to be popular. But when it comes to cars, when it comes to electric vehicles, this proposed pay per mile tax that is going to come in 2028, yeah, this is extremely unpopular, even by the standards of the government at the moment, which, let's be honest here, is pretty low. It's not going well. They are not doing very well in the polls at all. And when that next election comes around in, 2029, I think it'll be, if things don't change, they're going to be in massive trouble out of the Labour Party. But let's not talk about too much about politics. Let's talk about what the Chancellor is proposing and why it's not really a great idea, particularly if you are trying to make it look as though you're helping the environment, as you're encouraging people to uptake on electric vehicles. This is going to do the exact opposite of that. But what is it? Let's have a look, guys. So as reported in the Telegraph here in the UK on Wednesday, EV drivers will be charged 3 pence per mile from 2028 under plans to be unveiled by the Chancellor in her budget. But there are growing concerns over the impact on drivers, with ministers and industry figures calling for a support package to mitigate the impact of this upcoming tax, set to cost the average driver an extra £250 per year. Now, of course, electric vehicles are cheaper to drive than petrol-powered cars, and that gap is probably only going to widen over the next 3 years. However, the advantage of electric vehicles will be severely impacted by this. So this is doing the exact opposite of what the government is talking about in terms of wanting to be more environmentally conscious. You should be incentivizing people to drive electric vehicles, not trying to get more revenue out of them. But that is, of course, a tale as old as time. Yeah, you take some electric vehicles, you go buy one, but we want a cut of that. We want a slice of that profit that you're making. It's not a tax, but it is a tax. And the president of the AA, Edmund King, said that this is, quote, a poll tax on wheels, end quote. And yeah, it basically is. One change that ministers are understood to be pushing for is to reduce the 20% VAT applied to electricity charging points on the street. That is something we spoke about here on the channel, guys, and I wholeheartedly believe that is something we should do. In fact, VAT shouldn't be at 20% anyway. It was only brought up to that as an emergency measure. And I swear it's been like 15 years, probably longer, since that was raised. I think it was put up to that in the financial crisis of 08, although do correct me if I'm wrong on that. Either way, it's been that high for way too damn long. Another idea being floated is whether the 3 pence per mile level can be lowered when the scheme kicks in gradually over the next few years to avoid a cliff edge price jump in 2028, but that's still charging people more straight away. No thanks. Demand for electric vehicles in the UK has been a controversial subject, to say the very least. Look at my comments section on any video mentioning electric vehicles. It's an all-out war in there, and I'm sure this video will be exactly the same, to be quite honest. But the measures put in place by the government have given mixed signals. For example, the electric vehicle sales dropped by 25% when former Prime Minister at the time, Rishi Sunak, delayed the petrol car sale ban to 2035. But for now, Labour is apparently committing to making it 2030 for the sale of new petrol and diesel-powered cars. But I'll be shocked if that ends up being the case. Oh, and by the way, this doesn't get rid of your road tax or the vehicle excise duty, to give it its technical name, because again, someone will point out in the comments, road tax has not been a thing since the 30s. Yes, true, but effectively there is a road tax. It's just not called road tax, it's the VED. But anyway, that pay per mile tax, that will not reduce your VED. No, that'll stay the same. It'll be a tax on top of a tax, but it's not a tax. But it is a tax, really. If you're wondering, these proposals will probably be confirmed on the 26th of November, so we've got a good 3 weeks to try and digest all of this, but I think we're all just going to kind of burp it up because it is not a very nice one, this at all. Hybrid drivers will also be impacted by this as well, albeit not quite as much. They're estimating that this will impact the hybrid drivers on average around £110 per year. So yeah, another harebrained scheme from the Chancellor of the UK, guys. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm sure you got plenty of them. I'm sure the EV drivers out there will be fuming at this one. Overall, yeah, it'll still be cheaper to drive an EV than a petrol or diesel powered car, but that gap will close, and it will also mean that some people don't buy EVs as a result, which again, and I've said this multiple times in this video, that is going against the exact same thing that they claim to be all for. You can't be an environmentalist and think, oh, you know what? I'm going to tax environmentalism a little bit more. I want a bit of slice of that pie for you trying to save the planet. You can't go saving the planet without us getting a cut. Come on, we're the government. Yeah, farcical, but also completely on brand. Great job, guys. But yeah, see you soon for much more content from the weird, wacky, and downright disappointing world of motoring here on the channel, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always. Have a fantastic day wherever you're on the world today. See you soon.